We're building a brand here. I think that there is a gap in the market right now for actual hotels that can host large groups. There's nothing like it right now. And there's so many people that want to have that. They want to have a private group travel experience. And so we're building a brand. We want to build several of these in various cities.
On this week's episode of Establish Your Empire, I host Kristen Carson. Kristen is the CEO of Inn Cahoots, which is this 4-story boutique hotel and event venue on East 6th Street here in Austin, Texas, that features 5 condo-style suites with more than 8,000 square feet of convertible indoor/outdoor gathering space. In this episode, we talk about how Kristen juggles her 8-month-old baby with a booming business and how the cancellation of South by Southwest immediately removed around 10% of their annual revenue. You're listening to the Establishing Your Empire show, a podcast that inspires entrepreneurs, creatives, and future business owners to pursue their passions, grow their organizations, and build their empire. My name is Daran Herrman, and creatively, I'm best known for my photography, but business-wise, my claim to fame is growing a company from $15K per month in online sales to breaking the $1 million a month barrier. And I'm sitting down with interesting people to talk about their process, the lessons they've learned, and how they have established their empires. All right, Kristen, thank you so much for being on the podcast and having another guest join us here today. If you're not watching the video, we have, how many months old with us too?
8 months.
8 months, and he's being really quiet and good right now. So anyway, so this episode's a little different. We're actually not in my normal location. We're here at Inn Cahoots. We're on East 6th Street, downtown Austin, Texas. We're filming this here because, one, it's a really cool place, but also because South by Southwest just canceled. It's big news for everyone, but it's also affecting a lot of people in a lot of different ways. So let's start by maybe talking about how South by has affected your business and you guys first off.
Yeah, so we've been working for the past 8 months on a big brand activation that was going to happen here. And unfortunately, with the cancellation of South by, the brand pulled out, and not only did we lose the big activation in the venue space, but also all of the hotel stays that came with that, with all the crews and everything. So we had a full hotel buyout, and now we do not.
And is there no cancellation policies with?
So typically, we focus on large groups, which means that people book 3 to 5 months in advance, sometimes over a year in advance. And so typically we don't have a cancellation policy because it's so hard to rebook. Like large groups don't decide to go stay somewhere on a dime.
Yeah, usually, I mean, when you're talking about corporation, that's months planned, right?
Yeah,
budgets
months planned.
carved out. Yeah,
weddings. So we do corporate groups, weddings, etc. So normally we don't have a very a cancellation policy. However, with this very large booking, there was a negotiated clause in our policy which allowed for force majeure. If there was a force majeure event, that we had to refund everything 100%.
And maybe give us a reason why this handsome man is joining us.
Yeah, so right now Cal is with us because we are in crisis mode here, trying to figure out how we're going to recoup the revenue or do something with the days that we have coming ahead that would be normally South by. I suppose you can call them un-South bys.
Right.
And so we had to meet after hours, he doesn't have anyone to watch him, so he's currently with us.
That's right. Being an early star already. So yeah. Maybe walk us through also like what you guys do, what is Inn Cahoots, and why this affects your business, right?
Yeah. So Inn Cahoots is an actual hotel. It's an Airbnb style hotel. Focuses on large groups. Each unit we have here is 5 bedrooms, a living room and a kitchen. So we do really focus on quite large groups. And then the really cool thing is that the walls between the units, between the living rooms, can be removed to open up to one very large event space. So we're extremely versatile, and we are basically the only legal place that you can stay in Austin if you have a group of more than 10 people and you don't want to, and you want an Airbnb style setting.
And how large of a group can you actually hold?
So it depends on how close you are to your group. Each bedroom here has 2 beds in it, and we can add a rollaway. So we very typically have 14 people in each unit.
So and then like with South by Southwest canceling, I mean, how many units were rented? Like what was going on? Like how does it affect you guys?
So literally every unit was booked to this one group for this event. So we went from being 100% full, making the best month of the year by far. Again, somewhere between 8 and 12% of our annual revenue, to making 0. And that was Friday at 4:00, and we've been working on figuring out ways to mitigate that loss ever since without very much sleep.
Right, yeah, so it's Monday right now,
Yeah.
Monday like 7 p.m. or something like that.
Yeah.
So walk me through your story. Tell me your background, how did you come up with this idea, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, so my husband and I purchased our first home on 6th Street, and very quickly MTV contacted us to start renting it for artist interviews, actually during South by. And we rented it to them. That was in 2011, and that was kind of the start of renting it. And then
and how did they know you had that house? How did you guys make an online profile? Like, what did you do, classified ads? Like,
no, they walked right by it, and we had this really cool graffiti back when graffiti was cool. I promise it was cool.
Oh, graffiti's so cool.
I think so too, but we had it in our living room.
Oh wow!
And they walked by and they could see it from 6th Street, and so they contacted us to do interviews in front of that. Which worked out really well, and we were getting ready to get married, and we thought, man, you know what, I wonder if there's some other way to start renting this, so we could pay for our honeymoon. Yeah. So we found Airbnb, and we started posting it on Airbnb, and very quickly found that we were rented every weekend. So every weekend we would go and stay at a hotel. And we started seeing competitors pop up. They mostly would pop up in neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you remember in Austin a couple years ago, there was a big problem with having bachelor parties in neighborhoods. Yeah.
And a side question, did you feel like you would get like more money back then for a place like you had or now? Because of the supply and demand, right?
Because of supply and demand. However, when we opened up this hotel, we've ended up doing incredibly well because our demographic is not just the people who would stay in Airbnbs. We're ending up getting so many corporate groups that would traditionally stay in a hotel.
Right, and that didn't want a graffiti wall, right?
And that don't want a graffiti wall. But they just want a consistent experience. So when they walk in, they want to make sure it's clean. They want to know they can check in at a certain time. Like they don't want any unexpected experiences. And so that's what we provide at Inn Cahoots. And so I think with the hotel, we've ended up doing considerably better than we had expected. I mean, prior to South by canceling. So we do better now at the hotel here, but I think that's a function of being more of a hotel experience.
Yeah, and I think I see it kind of in between. You're not quite just the person renting out their house, but you're not just a cookie cutter normal hotel.
That's right.
That you're going to stay with 400 other guests, right? So walk me through. So you had the idea because you were renting out your place and that was going well, but like, how do you say, okay, I'm going to build this complex here, right? So there's a lot of steps in between.
There were so many. So we started doing really well, and then competitors started popping up, and competitors were purchasing places in neighborhoods. And they started getting a lot of flack because no one wants to live next door to a bachelor party that happens every weekend. And so we saw this, and we saw an opportunity. It's definitely would have been cheaper to purchase a home in a neighborhood and start renting it on Airbnb, but we didn't think that would be the right thing to do ultimately. And so we searched for a year or two to find a location that was zoned for hotel use where we could build something like this. And then we got this property, my husband and I bought it, and then we started raising money from investors, and we started working with architects and figuring out how we could build this space because it's super unique architecturally. You may not notice it because unless you're schooled in architecture, but we have some very unique transitions between assembly spaces, which are big event spaces, and residential spaces like the hotel rooms. And we're combining those in one unit. So architecturally, it was very unique. It took years to get through the city to figure out. Took years to get a bank to support this and to give us debt on it.
One thing I do want to interject with a question is like, so when you're pitching to investors, like, how did that go? Because I would assume, I mean, obviously a lot of places have gone up. Airbnb's super popular and busy, but I assume that wasn't probably the easiest pitch.
No, and Airbnbs are very prevalent right now. Everyone knows what they are. Everyone thinks they can do well on them. When I was pitching this, it was 2015. It was kind of before the rise of Airbnb. And before, at that time, it was primarily groups that were using it because they wanted to have that private group experience, the private travel experience. But really, corporate users weren't using it. I mean, it really wasn't as prevalent as it is now. And so, yeah, it was actually very difficult to pitch. And not only that, but we were pitching the idea of constructing a place for people that had never done any development. So it was not an easy pitch, but we got people behind us.
So, and then like, what was your success ratio there of investors that you talked to the ones that gave you money?
Oh, back then, I would say maybe 20%, but I will tell you.
Which is pretty high, which you probably already had some contacts.
We did already have contacts, and actually some of the competitors in Austin ended up investing in us. So we all got together for this, but I will tell you the people that passed on the deal have since emailed us asking if they could get in our next deal.
Which is probably the best email you could ever receive. So, now that South by has canceled 10-15%, let's circle back a little bit to that. Is that something that, now you got investors, what's the update you're giving them?
Well, for starters, I think they know me pretty well because we went through the whole construction of this place. And I am one of the most resilient people that you'll meet. I may be very saddened by the fact that this happened, but we're going to make it through. So we're working on our investor update right now, and obviously it's not one that anyone wants to read. On the plus side, we were tracking to do 70% higher than we had expected before this whole South by issue. And so, they've received so much good news. They've seen the financials. They know that there's a market for this. This was something that was entirely out of our control. And right now, it's they just have to believe in us. And so that's what we're writing in there. We believe in this product. We know that there's a market for it. And something really terrible has happened. And is happening right now, and you just have to believe in us to work our butts off to figure out a solution and figure out ways to make this work.
All right, so back to all right. So you purchased this property, you got this idea, you pitched some investors. 20% of them said yes, some said no, but they wish they would have. The permit process in Austin, Texas is a nightmare. So any advice that you could give people that would want to start building, not even a hotel for that matter?
Yeah.
But any advice there or thoughts?
He seems to have some. Yes, it is so hard, and getting the right team is so important. I didn't know what I was getting into, and I thought, it's development. Everyone seems to be doing it. We can do this, and it was quite complicated. For starters, it takes a year to get anything approved through the city, and so having the right team is really important. This is the worst, but we were tracking to be complete by South by last year, and we ended up being delayed because of some architectural issues, and we missed South by. We opened literally during South by. So we had a full buyout then. It was going to be great, and we ended up missing that. And then we thought, okay, well, it's okay. This year we're going to do it. And we got this full buyout, and we're telling all the investors this is so great. And then we get to it, and we're all ready, and I'm like, this is going to be the year. And then Friday happens, and it's not the year.
So you guys are basically the ones to blame for South by Southwest.
I know. I think South by is just not my it's a tease for me. It's like a carrot. Very much so.
Well, so for the first year, did you guys just kind of open the doors and let people walk in? Did you get some people to rent it last minute? Like, how'd that happen?
Yeah, we had pre-bookings. We put up pictures like that were just hopeful images of what we wanted it to look like. And we put it up on Airbnb and put it up on our website, and we had pre-bookings. So we were full from the day we opened. So we've been full every weekend, basically from day one.
That's fantastic. And you were saying kind of that your numbers were up. So besides weekends, like how often do people book this place, and what kind of people book this place? Like what happens there?
Yeah, we've been booked about 85% of the time during the week. It's been insane. We had predicted 30%. And what's happening is, we opened up to be able, our primary purpose for opening was to have a legal option for large groups that are staying in neighborhoods to stay on 6th Street where they can make noise and where they're not interrupting neighbors. We opened up here. It's a hotel experience, so we have consistent cleaning, consistent communication. They know we're not going to cancel on them. We opened up here, and we ended up finding that there's a ton of other groups out there that really want to have the consistency of a hotel, but the experience of an Airbnb. And so we opened up, and we ended up getting so many corporate travelers. People are coming in for the convention. We get pop-up dinners during the week, so we have a lot of chefs that come in. We've had engagement parties. Just anything, you name it, has ended up happening here.
Plus, you guys are like right on E6. You're not block or 10 blocks or something. You're on 6th.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the Airbnb experience that I've always loved. When we traveled, and we love to travel all over the place, and I want to be in the heart of something.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to be a cab ride from it if possible. So, you're walking, like I want to leave here, probably load my stuff up to my car and then go walk and hang out, right?
Yeah.
which is the cool part. So when we're going kind of on the timeline of you getting this started, so you got open right during South by Southwest 2019, I guess.
Yeah.
What do you guys do to get all those bookings, right? Obviously the place is cool, you take cool pictures, but any marketing, anything that you've done, word of mouth, like what's happened there?
Yeah, word of mouth has been crazy. It's funny because when people, I'll go out to a bar and someone asks what I do, and I'll tell them I work at Inn Cahoots, and they're like, oh yeah, I know that place. I'm like, how do you know this? We didn't expect locals to know about us. And it turns out, like I said, we're not just hitting the weekend travel market like we thought we would. We're hitting, again, pop-up dinners, local businesses that want to have offsite meetings, just anything. We've ended up having a lot of people kind of touch our space, which has been wonderful. Yeah.
What's the best way? Like, is it mostly Airbnb, or is it? Are you on multiple sites? Like, how do you run that?
Yeah, so we launched on Airbnb and HomeAway, and then we have our own site. And that's it. We haven't put any budget towards marketing. We've ended up, I would say, about 60% book on our site. And I guess they hear us through word of mouth, or we have an Instagram that people interact with. So, and I think also they might find us on Airbnb and then Google us.
And what kind of technology back end do you run your guys' site off of, and do you like it?
Yeah. We have 2 programmers, and they are the best. One of them is just a total wizard, and he built the entire site, which is really actually quite robust. We have a couple of things. If you're planning a group trip, you can go online and you can book on our website, but you create a dashboard when you book that enables you to send the booking out to everyone in your group, so they all split the bill, so you're not just putting it all on one card. And then we have a system where you can plan all the activities you want when you're here. So you can have a private chef come into your unit. We can have a private bartender. We can help you get a boat. And you can build this whole schedule, or you can book like a predetermined schedule. So our website's actually quite robust.
Yeah, I noticed that it looked actually like a real website. A lot of times you go to an Airbnb site or whatever, and even some boutique hotels, and it's quite rough because they get most of their traffic in from a third party like Airbnb or HomeAway. And is that something that you guys built with from the ground up? Like, okay, and I assume there's some nice integrations into the other platforms, so that way it's all up to date.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have integrations with cell phone text message systems. We have all of our communications are fully integrated into the website, so it's automated. So yeah, it's all custom built. We spent quite a bit of time on that. Funny. Yeah.
And what I'm getting to, I guess, here is, so what made you think of doing it that way as opposed to just, hey, buy a plugin off of that's $25 and throw up a site real quick, Squarespace, whatever?
So originally we started off working with international students, and this was in 2009. And at the time, there weren't really any websites that you could easily pop up to have to list your property on. And so I worked with a programmer. I also have some programming background. And we just ended up custom building so much. And then we started working with the downtown property, working with the groups that were booking on Airbnb. We just found that it was easier to just build out our system. And again, that was maybe in 2015. So I think we're ahead of some of the other ones that came to market later. And by the time they came to market, we had just built so much custom that we just didn't want to move over. And now we also have some features that no one else has, which is really important. So again, the split bill feature, the scheduler, all of these are things that lead to the guest experience, because it's not just coming and staying here, it's about planning for that. We want to make that really easy on the guests. We want them to know that we're here to help kind of take care of them.
And do you think a part of your success has been because of your website and having those advantages that other people don't have?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think even as simple as to be able to split the bill is great, because then you're not putting it all on one credit card and then having to hunt down everyone that's booking. So a good example would be if a wedding group is staying here and they do a full buyout. It's kind of awkward for the bride to go around and be like, hey, Aunt,
by the way,
Karen, I'm going to need you to pay me $300, please, to come to my wedding.
And when they split bill, what's interesting about that, I just thinking of that right now, some people want to pay you by Venmo and PayPal. So is that something that where basically they kind of get a link type of thing and then they log in and pay? Yeah.
So they all get invited, and then they can pay their portion.
That's really fantastic. So, all right, what's one of your favorite memories related to this project? We talked about the bad memories, the South by being canceled and not being open by South by last time, but what's one of the favorite memories?
I have so many. We had a full buyout by the LSU superfans. And
probably for the UT game?
For the UT LSU game. Yeah. And they turned this place purple and gold. It was so cool. I mean, I'm a UT fan. I went to UT, but I now am a big LSU fan too. I mean, they made this place so cool, and they put up flags, and they had the tiger hanging off the balcony over onto 6th Street. I mean, I had so many friends calling me, asking me what I was doing, allowing all these LSU fans here. But they invited us over, and we came over and tailgated with them. They cooked the best food. They brought in a whole, how in Texas we have these barbecue trailers. They had a gumbo trailer followed behind them. I mean, it was so amazing, and they were so wonderful. And we've ended up keeping in touch. So when LSU went to the national championship, we sent them a bunch of purple rabbit feet.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So you also have another company called Simply International, correct?
Yeah.
So they seem complementary between each other. So maybe walk us through what that is, what the company does, and how they merge together.
Yeah, so it's actually the same thing. Here at the hotel, we focus on large groups. Simply International also focuses on large groups that are coming into universities. So we have a contract with UT, A&M, Texas Tech, a lot of these large universities, and when they have a large international group of students coming in, or teachers, we will create pop-up hotels. So for instance, on Saturday, we had a group come in from Jordan, and they're in here for, I think, two and a half weeks, and there are 11 of them. So we took underperforming real estate assets in the West Campus, so just open units, and we convert them into a hotel for that period of time.
And how long have you been doing that project, those projects? That
was started as class project in 2009. So it's been
time.
a very, very long time before Airbnb was. Before I even had heard of Airbnb, right. We were already creating kind of pop-up hotels for large groups. Yeah.
And so, what percentage of those bookings come here? Like, is that any zero, or is that?
No, there's definitely some crossover. In general, they want to stay in West Campus, or we have a few other. Again, we work with universities across the nation, so we have several in Boston right now, and kind of all over. But in general, they want to stay near the university. There are some that will come and stay here. So I would say, we've had maybe 2 or 3 groups. We had a group from the engineering school at UT. We had a language program in Austin came here. And then actually Fulbrighters did a training here. American Fulbrighters did a training here before they left to go abroad.
Wow.
So
that's a lot of fun. So not to give advice to possible competitors, but there's going to be people listening, not just here in Austin. What's some advice you'd give somebody that would want to do this project that you've done right here with this place and building it and the whole 9 yards, right?
Oh, geez. Oh, there's so much advice. I mean, I'm learning every day. I suppose number one is with construction. I kind of mentioned this before, but it's really important that you get the right team. And I didn't realize at the time when I was building this what the right team meant. Again, Austin's code is so antiquated, and over the years there's been new code adopted that conflicts with the old code. So to have someone that can interpret that and say, what the city is likely to agree to. So the city is likely to say that you could maybe have a few less parking spots than what had previously been written in the code. Anyway, to have someone on the team that can help you understand city code and help you make sure that you're building, to, I guess, the highest maximum potential that you can build on that lot was really important. And then, of course, having the right GC was really important. So construction was a big learning process for me. Beyond that, opening this place has been actually really wonderful. There are a few design tweaks that we're going to make. We are building a few more of these in Austin.
I was going to ask, so the future. So you're going to stay in Austin right now? Is that kind of the game plan? Or?
Well, we are actually in contract with another city as well. So we are expanding across a few other big cities. And we have raised the money for that. We're ready to start. Probably won't open for another 2 years though.
And are we talking about the same kind of feel, size, all that type of stuff?
We're actually going to be double the size. So we've decided that a couple of things. We're a little small for the staffing that we have here. So our ideal size would be about 30,000 square feet.
And so 30,000, how many units would that be? Because I would have no idea
what
to put that into.
So about 12 units plus a restaurant and a bar.
And when you say 12 units, that's the big units that we walk through, and it's hard to not have this visually. But they're quite large when we talk about a unit, right? Compared to like somebody thinking about a hotel room, right?
Yeah.
You're probably 4 to 5 times the size of a hotel room.
Oh, much larger actually. Yeah. So we're pretty interesting, and this is why it took so long to get through the city, because each unit that we have has 5 bedrooms, a living room, and a kitchen. And the city kind of scratched their head going, is that 5 units or is that 1 unit? And ultimately it's 1 unit. It's just that 1 unit has 5 bedrooms. So when I say that we're going to have 12 units, that actually means we'll probably have somewhere around 60 bedrooms.
Right, they're all suites.
Yeah,
they're all
just very large suites. Yeah, very large presidential suites. And quite a bit larger than a typical hotel room. So maybe a typical hotel room might be 200 to 300 square feet. Our typical unit size is over 2,000.
That's super fun. So Has there any like resources or mentors that has helped you along this journey, or even before you started this company?
Oh my gosh, we have been so lucky to have such good mentors. But also, I have a really wonderful family. So my mom helped decorate this whole place. My dad did all the lighting, and my dad was so involved in the construction of this place that he ended up moving to Austin.
Nice, so there you go.
This is really a family endeavor for sure.
Austin will do that to you. I mean, I came and visited, I don't know, 2007 or something like that, and by 2008, July of 2008, I moved.
Yeah.
It'll suck you in.
It does, but that's funny you moved in July.
Well, it wasn't because of any of that reason. Although I love summer, so it doesn't matter. I don't care that it's 100 degrees. I'd rather take that. I'm from Kansas, where it gets very cold. I always tell people that our summer is our winter here. So, so as opposed to having a very cold winter, we have a very hot summer, which I'll take that trade any day of the
For
week.
sure, just be in a pool.
Exactly. Pool or mister or lake. So what does success look like for you?
We're building a brand here. We are, I think that there is a gap in the market right now for actual hotels that can host large groups. There's nothing like it right now. And there's so many people that want to have that, they want to have a private group travel experience. And so we're building a brand. We want to build several of these in various cities.
Walk me through 5 years, 10 years out. What's that look like?
So in 2 years, we're hoping that we'll have 2 to 3 of these. And then I would say in 5 to 6 years, we'd hope that we could have 5. So we're building out fairly slowly. It is a complicated process because we do tend to build from ground up, just because it's such a unique space. So retrofitting doesn't work out very well for us, although maybe we'll find a solution to that.
Sure, as you go through it.
Yeah.
So just kind of going more personal route, and I'm already kind of leading there. Like, what advice would you give your 15-year-old self?
Oh God, 15-year-old?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, I don't know. Let's see. What was I like at 15? I think at 15 I was still trying to figure out who I was, and I think it's just about being yourself and traveling, like focusing on what you care about.
And has your life turned out how you thought it would so far?
I mean, I'm really quite happy. I'm very lucky. I have a fantastic family. This place, it really is kind of the heart and soul of my family. And even though South by was canceled, I think people feel that when they walk in here. This is not a soulless building that you're walking into. We've poured everything into this place.
Do you have any regrets?
Well, I mean, I wish I had gotten it open in time last year for South by.
I think probably.
I think it would have been. I don't tend to be a very aggressive person in business. We tend to do very slow, calculated movements. I think I wish I had built this a little bit earlier. Although there are no competitors right now, I think this is something that the market's kind of moving towards, and I think we could have opened up a little bit earlier. I think it just took a long time to believe that I could do this.
I mean, it does take a while for the belief. I also think the timing is really great right now, and there'll be some interesting stuff. And one kind of a side note is with WeWork kind of being all over the place. Is there any thoughts there of being in the co-working space, using some of this for co-working, or just want to keep going in the direction you guys are going?
During the week, I think that could be great. I also think that's the direction we're going during South by.
Sure.
We have a very open space. We've found a very particular market, and I know that market. I understand that market, so I don't really foresee us going very far into the co-working space, just because I don't understand it. It's not where my passion is. The coolest thing about this space is, you're here, when you come here, you're coming here with your friends and family or coworkers, and you want, you're already teed up to have a great experience. You want to have a good time when you come in the door, which means that everyone comes in smiling. And we just have to make sure that we can maintain that momentum. And people have a great time here.
Yeah, they're coming in town. They're in Austin, Texas, on their downtown east side. And what would you title this chapter in your life?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Probably good.
Inn Cahoots, yeah. We're applying right now to open up a little coffee shop in our lobby, and we're thinking about calling it Inn Caffeinated.
Yeah, I love that. That's great.
So maybe that's it, just because I haven't slept in days because of the whole South by cancellation.
So let's talk about having a young child and running a company. I'm sure that it's always it's a challenge no matter what. How has that made things difficult, fantastic, because you do get to control your schedule a little bit on your own company. So maybe just talk us through that a little bit of how that life is.
I'm so lucky that I can run my own company and set my own schedule, because it means that I go to every single doctor appointment. I get to be there for Cal whenever he needs it. But at the same time, it is really, really hard to figure out when things happen, like South by is canceling and we're in crisis mode, and I'm bringing my kid everywhere.
So now that South by's been canceled, we talked about that plenty. I just got a event invite right when we were kind of walking up here. So what are you guys doing here there sounds like there's an event that you guys are holding here for South by.
Yes, yeah. So South by got canceled. Obviously we had the force majeure clause in our contract, so we lost everything from that contract, which again equates to somewhere between 8 and 12% of annual revenue. And so we've been scrambling this past weekend to figure out what we can do to kind of pick up the pieces and to still make something out of South by. And at the same time, we've realized that there's so many other companies in this community that are also really affected by South by canceling, some of which to much greater extent than we were even. And so we thought, we have the space, we have the right people in the room. Let's figure out how to get everyone together, all the business owners together, potentially some of the politicians together, Chamber of Commerce, and let's talk about ways that we can figure out how to mitigate the impact to the businesses that we have here. So we're hosting an event.
Just like a free event?
Free event, yeah, free event for the business owners here, just to, again, all come together and talk about ways that we can maybe cross-promote each other or just kind of work together to help bring everyone up. That's
well, I think that's great too, because somebody that's got food that they probably could maybe somebody needs some food someplace, or has a nonprofit that needs to ship it to Nashville or something. I think there's a lot that can happen. There's just some synergies getting some people together. I also think that everybody's getting a little lost right now, like what to do. Everybody still wants to do something, but not really sure. Some of us now have free time on our hands that we were expecting to not have. So that's fantastic. And when was the event?
So the event's Monday. So it's Monday the 16th from 6 to 9 at night. It'll be here at Inn Cahoots. So, we're hosting this event, and we do want to hopefully give back to the community, and we're hoping people will make meaningful connections there. But from a business perspective, I'm looking at it as, we lost this massive event from South by, and now we're putting it all in marketing. So we lost the X amount of dollars from South by, and now we're spending X amount of dollars in marketing here to the local community.
Let's throw a party, right?
Let's throw a big party, yeah.
What else do you do when South by gets
that's
canceled,
right. And then people come in, like you were saying, and they get to see the space, and they think about what they can do in the space. And I love that idea of focusing on our local community.
I love it. So last question, how would you like to be remembered?
Ultimately, I love kind of positive creativity. So I like building things that people enjoy. And so I love, like I was saying, I love it when people walk in here and they're happy and we can facilitate a great experience. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'd like to be remembered as a positive creator.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It was a very interesting and fun experience.
Yes,
So cheers.
thank you so much.
Thank you.